Hey there, toy collector friends and Transformers fans alike. Welcome back to the channel. I'm the time traveling toy collector, and this is from Transformers the movie, Studio Series 86, the Autobot Wheelie. Now, some of you will be aware that I didn't pick up, because I've told you already, Studio Series 86 13, which was Cliffjumper, because it was released as part of the Bumblebee Buzzworthy range, which I didn't register at the time. I'm such a fool. That was a Studio Series 86 entry, so I'm currently looking to add that to my collection, and at some point I may do, but at this point I do not have it. So the Studio Series 86 13 slot at the moment is being warmed by my only real purchase of Studio Series core class, which is appropriately, I think, the Autobot Wheelie, as he appeared in Transformers the movie back in 1986. Now, again, I remember the original figure, and the original figure didn't look like the character in the movie at all, with very peculiar arms and legs. And then we got our glimpse of what might have been our only Studio Series 86 Wheelie, which was released with Studio Series 86 Grimlock, if you remember that. And if you don't remember that, you can go and check it out in my Studio Series 86 playlist, where we will take a... Sorry, that's Siri joining in, who's obviously far too hyperactive today. Other personal digital assistants are available, however. Yeah, we got this version of a version of Wheelie with Grimlock that had no logical articulation. They had some, but very minimal. Couldn't transform, and much like the counterpart that followed when we got Slag, who we all know is really called Slug, it was kind of a shoulder shrug for many of us, going, what on earth are you doing giving us these sort of pointless characters that can't really do anything? I mean, it's great that they're as a bonus accessory to give us some scale or whatever the hell it was that you were trying to give us, but it didn't really work. So I was really pleased when we then got the Autobot Wheelie in this scale, and I kind of think, well, why on earth didn't we just get that with the leader class figures? But you know what, doesn't matter, I've moved on. I'm not bitter, as you can tell. And so here we are with the Autobot Wheelie, and he's got a nice little picture of him in action there. Although, again, to be honest, I don't think that's quite how he looked in the film, but maybe my memory is fooling me slightly. So there's the lovely Transformers the movie logo there, Studio Series Autobot Wheelie, all the stuff you need to know. Apparently you've got to be over 8 years of age to be able to do Wheelie, as it were. There's some nice artwork on the side, and on the back we have the product shot of Wheelie and vehicle mode Wheelie, which is kind of what we remember. So that's him in his packaging. We don't have the old... We have a window, but we don't have any plastic in the window, so we're definitely in our cardboard era, plastic-free cardboard era. So I'm going to go ahead and get him out of the packaging, and then we'll see what we can see. Don't touch that dial. Okay, so here we are, and Wheelie is now out of the packaging. The first thing I'm going to say is I hadn't really twigged this, so I'm a little bit disappointed. So I'm going straight in with a bit of disappointment. But he's a Studio Series... Well, he is. He's a Studio Series figure, and he doesn't come with a backdrop. So I guess with the core class I understand that that's probably slightly harder, but there was a cardboard backing that he came with, which he was, by the way, attached to using those plastic ties, so a bit of plastic still there, and it could have been slightly different because he's not exactly huge, as you can see. He's not exactly the biggest figure in the whole wide world. I think they could have reworked that interior cardboard section so that he could have had his own scale of backdrop that we could have lent into a little bit. But you know what, minor quibbles. I'm not someone who's currently using the backdrops as a display base, but I think it would have been a nice option to given us, considering the box itself is quite decent. It's quite robust. You could have gone that just a little bit extra and given us that. You know, I would have appreciated it. I'm sure others would have too. So here we have core class Wheelie in all his core class goodness. There's not the most amount to him, to be honest. I mean, we can't also have expected there to have been a huge amount to him, because he's a core class, a dinky little core class chap. But that said, the paint scheme is really nice, and he's kind of he is evocative of the abomination that we got with Grimlock, and the colour scheme is evocative of what we had the first time around. The head is a much better head sculpt than what we got with in 1986-87 when the figure actually came out. He's a wealth of ball joints. You've got ball joints in the elbow, in the shoulder. There's no wrist articulation, and there's no waist articulation. But again, ball joints for days. Really, a little bit of openness and hollowness in the legs. But again, we're talking a core class figure here, so they're not exactly replete with engineering or budget to do too much else with. He, again, much like his Grimlock counterpart, does come with this catapult mechanism, and I did just for devilment want to see if I could get him into that sort of pose that the Grimlock one comes with, and hey, guess what? You can do it. I mean, I'm getting an awful, and actually the detailing on the hands really looks like he's holding it. So you know what, that's quite, I quite like that. But yeah, I'm being a bit mean about that. But you know, hey, more options because he's more posable than that. Actually, looks like quite if you get him in the right angle, he looks like quite a rugged little tough guy. You know what I mean? He's quite. He's up for a fight. There's not a lot of manoeuvrability on the head, I'm afraid, but you do get sort of side to side. Oh, a little bit more than I thought, but I think that's probably for transformation purposes rather than anything else. But yeah, he's a cute little guy, and I think he'll stack up well with the other Studio Series 86 cast of the movie figures. So I am glad that I've picked him up. And of course he does have the car mode in his playability arsenal. So without further ado, let's get him into that mode. And here we have him all transformed up into his futuristic car mode. You know, which is pretty much what we would expect to see. He's a dinky little thing, and I've got to say, I really enjoyed, far more than I felt that I was ever going to, I really enjoyed transforming him into this. It was it actually felt like a proper throwback to having my little sort of mini Autobots back in the 1980s. It was very straightforward, very, very simplistic, and you know, nice and effective. And he's, of course, very in keeping with the Autobot aesthetic of the perceived future of 2005, as demonstrated in 1986. And thank goodness for all those ball joints, because they really lent themselves well to that transformation. Again, he rolls very nicely. His wheels are all freewheeling. It's a shame we've got different types of wheels in there. That could probably have been very easily avoided. And of course, it's a shame we have to have his hands hanging out the back. What is nice is that we get somewhere to store that catapult factor, which is there. And actually, if you don't want to have it in robot mode, you can store it in the exact same place when he is in robot mode. The only weird thing is that technically you are ramming it up his butt, but to each their own. But he's a really nice little figure, and it's almost annoying that he's turned out to be quite so lovely, because the character in the movie was a little bit annoying, and I was so annoyed with the thing we got with Grimlock, although it wasn't as bad as the thing we got with Slug, admittedly. But yeah, I you know, there's not a huge amount to talk about because it's all kind of here, but the lovely almost salmon detail colour scheme is beautiful. The Autobot symbol is beautifully pulled out there. The canopy is a lovely shade of blue. There's some nice silver detailing. Admittedly, it forms his hands, etc., but it's nice nevertheless. The form is compact. There's no visible head syndrome underneath. And yes, there's a bit of hollowness, but nothing huge. And it holds together really well. And it, as I say, often not always the case with modern Transformers. This was a really lovely, easy to transform piece. I appreciate it was only a 12-step program, but nevertheless it was very straightforward and easy. And I really liked it. I was getting myself psyched up to go, oh god, this is a dreadful figure, dreadful concept, dreadful everything. It really isn't. And I don't know why I was getting myself psyched up to say that, to be perfectly honest. It's really, really lovely. And I for one am absolutely chuffed that I managed to get him in the collection. So it only remains for me to say, do you think that Studio Series 86 Transformers the movie Autobot Wheelie has a place in your collection? Well, again, only you really know the answer to that, but I'm hoping he does, because he's kind of cute and he's kind of unassuming and he doesn't take up an awful lot of space. So really, there's nothing not to like about him apart from your possibly deep-rooted feelings left over from the original Transformers animated movie. And that's something for which we all possibly need to get our own individual therapy. But picking up this guy certainly is part of my therapeutic renaissance regarding Wheelie, and I'm very, very glad that I embraced this character. So only you know, really, as I said, if he has a slot on your shelf, but perhaps you can let me know in the comments if you think Wheelie was a really good idea. Sorry, I'm so sorry. Anyway, thank you for sticking around, especially considering that that's kind of where I ended. That was not value for money, I'm afraid. But thank you for sticking around nevertheless. You've been a great audience. I have been the time-travelling toy collector, and this has been the Transformers the Movie Studio Series 86 Core Class Autobot Wheelie from Takara Tomy and Hasbro as part of that cast of the epic set in 2005, but the epic 1986 Transformers animated the movie. I'm very excited for what's to come, so do like the video, hit the subscribe button, and stay tuned for future Transformers fun. But if you're into other toy lines such as G.I. Joe or Doctor Who or Star Trek or Batman or Star Wars or anything like that, hang around, check out some of the other playlists. There'll be other things there for you to go and take a look at and enjoy, I hope. Something there may catch your attention and tickle your fancy. So go and have a look at that. And I very much look forward to seeing you in a future video. Take care and bye-bye for now.